Hi, if you've not seen any of my videos before, my name is Jennifer from I Never Knew, a community that I'm creating for fabulous middle-aged ladies to share resources, vent, and celebrate the wins and the challenges that are very unique to this time of life. So the purpose for this video is to talk about finances because we all know the years are flying by, and I think there's not many of us that feel like we have enough money in the bank. So it's Women's History Month, and Fidelity put out an article about a company that did an online survey in January of this year, 3,000 participants. And the questions all centered around what they've been doing about their finances, how they feel about their finances, and boy, some really interesting things came out of it. I want to check my notes because I want to make sure I get this right. When asked about certain emotions, it was clear that the women felt more negative emotions around their finances, whereas the men seemed to be okay with everything. For example, when it comes to feeling stressed around their finances, 57% of the women to 41% of the men would describe themselves as feeling stressed about their money. Discouraged, 33% of the women to 23% of the men. Ashamed, more women than men, but yet the positive feelings of confident, 19% women to 31% of men, ambitious and proud, more men than women. So what's going on with that? Is it because women are just natural worriers? Is it because we're planners? I feel like sometimes women take things a little deeper, and maybe we do worry about things more, we overthink. And obviously I'm generalizing, I'm not speaking about all men and all women, but it definitely struck a chord with me. 93% of the women feel stress regarding managing their money, and this was consistent, 90 to 95%, no matter the household income and no matter their education. So it's really more of a woman and man gender thing versus what the person's particular financial situation actually is. So the amount of money is not the driving factor. It definitely has to do with women versus the men. Now here's the good news. Women who were taking action of some sort within the previous 6 months felt less stress and more confident. They did things like adjusted their spending, they paid down their debt, and one of the things that they referenced quite a bit was being more open about their financial situation, talking to friends or family or professionals. Just getting it out made them feel better, like they were taking steps. This doesn't surprise me at all, since women like to get things off their chest and we like to talk. Contributing to an emergency fund was also something that came up a lot. And the more confident women were the ones that were saving for retirement, that had invested or started working with a professional. The number one long-term financial goal for women was to feel secure about money. And this has remained the same from 2023 to 2024. The number one long-term financial goal was to feel secure about money. This is by the women, and this was about the same between 2023 and 2024. It was in the high 50s, 58% actually. 28 to 36% wanted to be able to live the life they wanted, to retire and have financial independence. But to just feel secure was the biggest goal. Women were also very open about admitting mistakes, not saving enough for emergencies, not addressing their finances early enough, not following a budget, accumulating too much debt. You see a pattern here? Way too long to start worrying about retirement. And again, I got a perfect score. So what is holding women back from investing and dealing with their finances? A, they don't think they have enough to invest. They're afraid of losing it. They just don't have the confidence, or they just don't know how, and they don't know where to start. This was absolutely me as well, 12 months ago. There are two resources that were a tremendous help to me, and I feel like they were game changers for me. When I decided I needed to own my financial truth, I stumbled upon a TikTok live of a woman called Tori, and she wrote a book called Financial Feminist. It's a New York Times bestseller. She has a fantastic podcast called Financial Feminist. She has a fantastic website called herfirst100k.com. And I highly, highly recommend that you check this lady out. She's only 29, but she's wise way beyond her years. She had a goal for herself to save $100,000 by the time she was 25. She beat that goal, and in the 4 or 5 years since, she has built a multi-million-dollar company because her mission is to help women overcome a lot of the stigmas and the things that have held us back from feeling that we could be in charge of our own money and that we could invest it just as well as men. We don't need Wall Street professionals. We can do it. Like, she demystifies the terminology. She breaks it down into layman's terms. Her early on podcasts 2 years ago were so fantastic. I've listened to some of them over and over. It just completely opened my eyes to being able to start to invest on my own. It's not just investing either. Her beginning work on the website will also talk about looking at your finances, creating a budget, figuring out where everything's going. So she also has been doing podcasts where she's having guests on that are more specific topics, like how to negotiate your new job, how to get more money for your new job, just all kinds of different topics that I think you'll find very valuable. The second resource is Allison Baggerly, and her company is called InspiredBudget.com. She also has a great podcast, very short snippets, usually 20 minutes to a half hour. She's a married mom with 2 boys. She and her husband were in a lot of debt. They were both teachers. They realized they needed to change things. So years ago, they started budgeting, and she has also turned this into a resource for women. It's a very successful company, but it's her approach. She's very warm. She breaks things down in a great way. It's very realistic. She raises a family. She manages a house. She knows the way things really go day to day. And she has a fantastic budgeting method that she does some free calls on. She has stuff on her blog, and the podcasts are helpful. For a while, I joined her membership, which was a reasonable amount per month, and it gave me access to hours and hours and hours of curriculum about budgeting and saving, and just so much helpful information. It really changed things for me. Instead of living check to check and not knowing where my money was going, I now know where every dollar is going. And it's not that I deprive myself, but I've rearranged it so that I know what I can spend, and I'm achieving goals that I was never able to do before. Now I have separate accounts for separate goals, long-term, short-term. And now when I need heating oil or I have a car breakdown, I'm not freaked out. I'm not pulling out a credit card. Now I'm able to actually prepare for this stuff. And I really credit so much of this to the wonderful efforts of Tori Dunlap, Financial Feminist, and Allison Baggerly at Inspired Budget. So please check them out if you want to make any changes, if you need an overhaul, if you just want to tweak things. Absolutely. I'll probably do even more videos about some of their resources in the future. So don't give up. If I can do it at 53 and change things around for myself, you can too. Have a great night. Thanks. Bye-bye.